Hey guys, so I want to give you directions about what is going on today, and it's going to be similar to what we talked about Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. The format's going to be a little bit different, but everything is pretty much the exact same thing. We're just kind of tying everything together. So if I look at this example problem, it says Janelle had $400 in her bank account. If she took out $20 each week to spend on food, how long would it take for her to run out of money? So I'm going to highlight some important information so I know that she had $400 in her account. So I'm going to highlight that. If she took out $20 each week to spend on food, so I'm also going to highlight that. All right, so I've got my important pieces highlighted. Now I have to decide the first thing. If you notice here, I have to decide what my starting point is. So if she had $400 in her bank account, that tells me that's how much she had at the very beginning. So $400. Now my constant rate of change, okay? So she's taking out $20 each week. So if that's the case, then that tells me that is a constant rate of change because it's for every 1 week. Now she is taking the money out, so that also tells me that 20 is going to be a negative 20. So I have my two important pieces of information. So now I can go ahead and start working on my table next. Notice that I'm comparing the number of weeks to the money that's left over in the account. So at 0 weeks, meaning the beginning, she has $400 in her bank account. After 1 week, well, I know every week she's taking out $20 according to my constant rate of change. So I basically have to take 400 and subtract 20. So that would give me $380. Another week passes, then I take away another 20. So that would be 360. Another week passes, and I take away another 20. So that's 340. Now notice this one here. I've skipped 4 weeks and go straight to 5 weeks. So I've skipped 2 weeks. So in 2 weeks, I know that she's going to take out $40 because 1 week is 20. So 2 weeks has to be 40. So by week 5, she would only have $300 in the account. So there's my table. Okay. So notice that my table, I also use the starting point here. And I use that constant rate of change to tell me how much money I would either be subtracting every single week. Next, I move on to the graph. Notice I have some blanks here. That's for you to decide what variable goes on which side. Well, my variables are right here, the number of weeks versus the money in the account. Now, on the horizontal axis, that is our x-axis. So my x values in this case are the number of weeks. So I'm going to type number of weeks. My y-axis is going to be the money in account. So I'm going to type money in account. There we go. Now this blue piece right here tells me I'm going to click and drag dots to place onto the graph. So I'm going to use my table to help me create my graph. So at 0 weeks, she had $400 in the account. So I'm going to click and drag to about 400. Now it's okay if it's not super accurate. Oops. Let me send this back really quick. There we are. So it pops up. Okay, so it's okay if the dot isn't exactly on 400, just because of where I've placed it. Okay, but try to get as accurate as possible. After 1 week, she has $380 in the account. So I'm going to click and drag another dot. Now 380 is still pretty close to the 400. So I'm going to drag and drop that one pretty still close. Okay. And then I would just keep on going with my dots. Notice I only have 4, but I have 1, 2, 3. I have 5 points in here. Okay. The next major point that I really want to point out is probably that 5 weeks, because I know I can drop that on an exact dot. So at week 5, I go up to 300, which is about here. So I know that's where my line is. and so on. Then I'm going to actually add a line to this graph, which is up here with the line tool. So I click the line, I click the first dot, and I go here. And if I continued to stretch it out, I can figure out kind of where that next point is, and I'll just drop it there. And I'll make the line a little bit bigger so we can see it better. Okay, so this is my, if you will, line of best fit that we learned in Unit 1, or my linear line, which we've learned so far this week. Okay, so now I have all my information for my graph, and I'm good to start writing my equation. Now remember, the equation needs to be written in y equals mx plus b form. So this right here is the way that I would write my equation. Again, I'm going to, so this m is representing my constant rate of change, which I know is -20, and b represents my starting point, which is 400. So remember the word substitution. In math, substitution still means to replace something. So I'm going to substitute my constant rate of change number and my starting point number in for m and b. So when I go to write my equation is going to read y equals, and then whatever m is, that's my constant rate of change, which is -20. So I'm going to write -20. Next to constant rate of change is the x, so I'm going to put an x because I don't know that number yet. And then my b and that plus sign. So the plus sign is based on whatever my b is. So if I look here, my starting point is 400, and that is a positive 400, so I need to make sure that I write plus 400. And here is my linear equation. I'll make this a little bit bigger so you can see it. And I've got all 5 pieces for Janelle's information. So now it says, how long would it take for her to run out of money? So what I would do to really answer that question is I would take up my calculator. And now that I have the equation, I can figure out anything about Janelle's bank account. So I'm going to go to y equals. I'm going to clear out what I have here already. And I'm going to type this equation in. Notice y equals is already there. So the only thing I'm going to type in is -20. Make sure you use the x up here, plus 400. Now to see how long it would take for her to run out of money, I've got to pull up the table. So I'm going to hit second graph to pull up my table. So I notice my table actually looks really similar to the table that I've created right here. At 0, it's 400. At 1, I should have 380. At 2, I should have 360. So this is a good opportunity to make sure that your table information here is correct. So I know that she still has money even at 10. So I'm going to scroll down. And it looks like it's going to take about 20 weeks for her to finally have no money in her account. So I'm just going to put that here off to the side. Add another little text box really quick. There'll be a text box for you to put your final answer, just so you know. But no. It took 20 weeks for Janelle to run out of money. And whoops, sorry. And here we are for our final answer. Hope this video helped so that you know what to do for your assignments for today. If you have any questions, please feel free to email your algebra teacher. Have a good day.